Black Swan was both a commercial and critical success in 2010, and yet it leaned on regressive gender roles and cartoonish depictions of mental illness. In this video, I'll examine the film's abundant symbolism to argue that it's best understood as a pastiche of female archetypes, and not just a problematic mess of horror cliches.
Hey! Why would you say that?
Black Swan acts as a counterpart to Darren Aronofsky's previous film, The Wrestler, and in fact they began as one story, about a love affair between a ballerina and a wrestler. Separated into indie drama and psychological thriller, what remains consistent is the cinema verite style and the focus on performance and the body. The Wrestler looks into the hyper-masculine world of professional wrestling through aged legend Randy the Ram. His muscular physique embodies an exaggerated masculinity that mirrors his inability to connect with women, including his own daughter.
Don't you have a daughter? Where's your daughter?
My daughter, she don't like me very much.
Idolised by boys and men, his masculinity is celebrated but comes at a price. In contrast, Black Swan explores the typically feminine world of ballet, and while it might be viewed as high art as opposed to the low art of wrestling,
He's using hypnosis!
both reveal the extremes that one will go to in pursuit of the performative body, moving past the spectacle to reveal its very real physical cost. Beyond the kayfabe theatre of wrestling, we see the actual damage done, including the practice of blading, where wrestlers cut themselves to heighten the illusion. Likewise, Aronofsky begins Black Swan with a dreamlike vision of effortless dancing, before jolting us awake to the harsh reality, reminding us throughout of the strain that prima ballerinas inflict on their bodies, as well as their minds. But where the wrestler follows a fading icon at the end of his career, Black Swan turns to a dancer at the beginning of hers. The rise of Nina Sayers is framed not as liberation, but as an inevitability, pulled into a cycle of archetypes, shaped by horror's exaggerated vision of femininity.
We all know the story. Virginal girl, pure and sweet.
Nina begins the story as the virgin, innocent, fragile, childlike.
You're not a virgin, are you?
No.
So there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
From her pink bedroom filled with stuffed animals to her petite frame, temperament and voice.
Excuse me?
Natalie Portman even underwent vocal coaching to regain this childish timbre.
Okay, thank you.
Inspired by real dancers who spoke in baby voices. As Portman has observed, the ballet world seems to stunt growth.
It's really a world that keeps women as little girls. You know, they want them to starve themselves to not have breasts and hips. They want them to, they call them girls, not women, not dancers. They refer to them as girls.
It is perhaps for this reason that we see hints of an eating disorder in Nina. At the beginning of the film, we see her excited about the breakfast her mother has prepared. Tellingly, the same diet of Sarah Goldfarb in Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream, whose desire to lose weight became her
What
undoing.
diet are you on? Eggs and grapefruit. Oh, I was on that one. Lots of luck.
It's not so bad.
How long you been on it?
All day.
All day. It's 1 o'clock.
Food becomes linked with control, repression, and fragility. At various points, Nina is shown throwing up. She smiles when told she has lost weight, and mostly abstains from eating.
Oh, that's way too much.
It's a celebration. It's just this once.
Mom, my stomach's still in knots.
Evidently, it isn't just the culture of the school that keeps Nina infantilized. Much of this repression stems from her mother, Erica, who insists on keeping her a child, while artistic director Thelma pulls in the opposite direction.
Go home and touch yourself.
Caught between an overbearing mother and a psychosexual father surrogate, Nina's identity is fractured. Mirrors are a customary source of horror, but here they carry a little more weight. They reinforce the theme of duality,
The white and the black.
while also symbolising the pressure put on dancers to scrutinise their own bodies. Nina is often shown lost in her reflection, but frequently it betrays her, showing mysterious doubles or wounds she doesn't remember inflicting. These moments recall horror's obsession with the split self, the doppelganger, and point to what Jung called the shadow, the unconscious, repressed side of the self. The film even borrows symptoms of body dysmorphia to dramatise her distorted self-image. Nina harms herself through obsessive practice, but also in darker moments in front of the mirror. When she scratches her shoulder, it is externalised through her reflection, as though another version of herself has done it. That other self soon takes human form in Lily. Nina embodies the Virgin, and by extension the White Swan. Lily represents her shadow, the natural Black Swan, and so-called whore. Effortless, playful, and sexually confident, Lily is everything Nina is not. Within horror archetypes, this character has long carried connotations of danger and punishment. In 80s slashers, sexually promiscuous women rarely survived. Lily is less a rounded character than a projection of Nina's fear of being replaced, but she also provides inspiration, teaching Nina to embrace her darker side. Beth,
What?
the former star, reinforces this archetype. Once idolised, now discarded, Beth embodies the fallen whore, consumed by the system that once created her.
Did you suck his cock?
Let all of us have to.
You fucking whore. You're a fucking little whore.
Oh, what's going on here?
Her presence intensifies Nina's paranoia, a harbinger of what happens to those who fail to survive. Here, psychosis imagery dominates. Nina sees her own face projected onto her rivals, hallucinates violent confrontations, and blurs the line between rivalry and seduction. Screenwriter Andre Hines has said the film was inspired by witnessing a friend's psychotic break. But this instability isn't realism. It licenses horror excess, sex, violence, and body mutilation. By having the film take place from Nina's perspective and revealing that perspective to be unreliable, they can have their cake and eat it too. Nina's growth will involve embracing her shadow, demonstrated visually in her metamorphosis into the Black Swan. Her repression fuels desire, her envy fuels paranoia. The shadow self consumes her in a spiral of aggression, fear, and rivalry, a dynamic that is very much present in relation to the third and final archetype.
It's okay. I'm here.
Erica perfectly embodies the mother as described in Barbara Creed's The Monstrous Feminine, an archaic maternal figure who is both jealous and smothering.
Guess he wanted you all to himself.
Not why.
I don't blame him.
Even the apartment's design signals this. Pink walls trap Nina in childhood, while green walls, as cinematographer Matthew Libartique has explained, represents envy and competition. As Morag McSween notes, mothers often want their daughters to succeed, but also resent their potential to do so. Erica embodies this ambivalence, at once nurturing and competitive.
I just mean as far as my career was concerned. What career? The one I gave up to have you.
Erica's domination fuels Nina's compulsions. Scratching, rituals, and OCD-like behaviours become attempts to cope with suffocating pressure. The mother is both protector and warden. Erica completes the cycle: childlike virgin, sexualized whore, monstrous mother. Together they form a closed loop of regressive archetypes. In this twisted coming-of-age story, Nina sets herself on a path from the virgin to the whore. In doing so, showing us that the women in Black Swan are all the same.
No wonder you two look alike.
In different stages of metamorphosis. That they evolve through the stages of negative female stereotypes. exaggerated through horror tropes, and stylized with symptoms of mental illness. And if they live long enough, they become the mother, starting the cycle again. Unless, that is, they break free and control their own narrative by killing themselves.
So, happy ending then.
It's beautiful, actually.